My name is Valerius Haas, Warden of Dark Mind Asylum. Welcome to Dark Mind Asylum. Within these walls, we contain individuals whose minds and abilities defy normal comprehension. Today, we examine 3 such subjects. You will hear their complete psychological profiles, past incidents, abilities, and containment measures. Listen carefully, for every detail matters. Entity Dossier 068. Ripplejack, alias the Dimensional Glitch, Fold Line Remnant, the Unfinished Man. Gender, male. MBTI, INTPT. Threat type, spatial/reality instability. Threat tier, Delta Prime. Disposition, neutral unstable. I. Physical description, extended. Ripplejack appears vaguely humanoid, but his shape is never fully stable. He looks like a corrupted hologram in a human outline, constantly freezing, jumping, and re-rendering. His form exhibits 1. Frame dropping. Parts of his body stutter several seconds behind the rest. When he turns his head, his face might lag for a full second before snapping into place. 2. Pixel distortion layer. A cloud of floating squares and digital static surrounds him, drifting like dust motes but rearranging to match his emotional state. 3. Partial transparency. His torso flickers like VHS tracking lines. Sometimes you can see bones flash inside as separate frames. 4. Multi-shadowing. He casts multiple shadows, each a millisecond out of sync, showing alternate postures of him that may not match his present movement. 5. Facial rendering errors. His eyes appear as luminous cursor arrows. If angered, they split into several sets, blinking at different rates. 6. Movement. He does not walk smoothly, instead, teleports stutters, skips several feet, shifts sideways without moving legs, appears further ahead, then backs up to correct himself. During emotional agitation, his entire body glitches outward in square fragments and reassembles. 2. Background. Your version. Preserved exactly. Ripplejack was originally a physics grad student named Jackson Reeve, obsessed with quantum tunneling and dimensional overlap. He volunteered in a banned experimental project, Project Fold Line, which aimed to artificially create microportals within the human nervous system. The machine malfunctioned. Instead of splitting atoms, it split him. Jackson became permanently half-rendered, existing in 2 dimensions at once. His human personality is fragmented like corrupted files, forming multiple versions that argue through overlapping whispers. Additional expanded background. New content added without changing yours. After the Fold Line disaster, surviving researchers describe seeing dozens of Jacksons flicker in and out around the machine, each slightly different in posture, clothing, or expression. Some versions looked terrified. Some looked curious. One smiled calmly and stepped into the aperture before vanishing entirely. The final recorded log shows the original Jackson flickering uncontrollably before dissolving into static and reappearing in the center of the test chamber as the entity now known as Ripplejack. No body was ever found. No corpse was produced. But multiple digital cameras recorded several different Jacksons overlapping, walking through walls, or speaking in impossible reversed audio. After the incident, Project Fold Line was permanently shut down and sealed under federal lockdown. 3. Abilities. Extended deep detail. 7. Dimensional phase drift. Ripplejack can slip partially into the adjacent layer of reality. In this state, physical objects pass through him. Bullets distort harmlessly. Walls ripple like fabric. Light bends around him. Sound becomes delayed. Prolonged use destabilizes nearby space, producing anomalies. 8. Echo duplication. Creates several preview versions of himself that appear up to 4 seconds before he does something, a form of temporal echo. These echoes do not interact physically, but they mimic movements of alternate Jackson personalities. Some echoes show emotional states he is not currently expressing, a hint at fractured consciousness. 9. Data corruption aura. All electronics malfunction within a 10 to 20-foot radius. Digital devices capture distorted images of him. Stretched, faceless, multiplied, skeleton visible, upside down. Audio recordings pick up multiple voices speaking his thoughts simultaneously. 10. Render collapse burst. When cornered or distressed, Ripplejack can forcibly crash the local area. The space around him fragments visually like shattered polygons. During a burst, walls duplicate. Floor elevates in several versions. People see several copies of themselves. Gravity hiccups. This lasts 0.2 to 1.3 seconds but causes severe disorientation. 11. Nonlinear locomotion. He appears in discrete frames of movement, teleporting but not truly teleporting, just skipping reality steps. Observers often report his walk is like watching a video with missing footage. 4. Psychology and personality, very detailed. Ripplejack is mentally fractured into overlapping sub-personalities, versions of Jackson Reeve that exist simultaneously. Primary traits: analytical, emotionally muted, curious, detached, fascinated by physics, still tries to test things, occasionally forgets he is no longer human. Mental fractures. When he speaks, faint overlapping whispers represent alternate Jacksons speaking in parallel. They disagree, argue, or finish each other's thoughts. Examples heard on audio: we should leave, stay, not safe, safe enough, I want to understand. All voices originate from him. Emotional state. He rarely shows anger, but when he does, his glitch radius expands rapidly. Ripplejack is not hostile, but he is dangerous due to unpredictability and spatial distortions triggered by stress. V. Capture log, expanded, high detail. Ripplejack was discovered in an alley near the university he once attended. Residents reported multiple men walking the same path out of sync, and human shadows running ahead of themselves. Task Force Gamma retrieved him after noticing several versions of him flickering. A floating version watching from a rooftop. One version stuck mid-step in the wall. One sitting on the ground staring at his hands. Only one version was fully coherent. Upon approach, he said, "I am not synced." He offered no resistance. During transport, the vehicle interior glitched. Seats duplicated. Doors appeared in the wrong place. A guard vomited from extreme spatial nausea. One guard briefly saw his alternate self sitting beside him, whispering warnings. Ripplejack apologized repeatedly in fractured audio. 6. Containment. Extended. He is housed in a dimensional stabilization chamber requiring quantum dampeners, white noise reality anchors, non-reflective walls, analog surveillance only, magnetic stabilizers, continuous physics resync pulses. Personnel rules. Must wear dimensional anchor belts. Must not make sudden emotional displays. Must never show him mirrors. Must avoid discussing Project Foldline. Triggers memory fragmentation. Behavior in containment. Ripplejack spends hours staring at vibrating points on the wall that aren't visible to humans. He often mutters theories about overlapping universes, misaligned rendering frames, and lost Jackson instances. Sometimes he performs experiments, such as dropping objects and watching them split into two different falling paths. He has stated, "I do not want to break the room. It is the only one that holds me still." 8. Danger evaluation. Ripplejack is not violent, but the nature of his anomaly means he can accidentally collapse an entire floor. He destabilizes physics. He can cause personnel psychosis due to multi-version visual exposure. Prolonged contact increases risk of spatial distortions. He is contained not because of malice, but because his existence is hazardous. Dossier 069. The Fossil Choir. The prehistoric aggregate / psionic paleoform. Designation: DM FC09. Classification: multi-skull fossil entity / animated paleontological construct. Threat level: cataclysmic. Personality type: INTJA, cold strategist / non-human pattern logic. Status: contained. Level 6 Paleobiological Vault. Overview. The fossil choir is an animate cluster of prehistoric skulls fused into a vaguely humanoid, but constantly shifting mass of bone. Each skull originates from a different species: dinosaur, megafauna, extinct predators, deep ocean leviathans, and unknown paleontological forms never catalogued in the fossil record. The entity's motion resembles a creature assembling and disassembling its own skeleton with every step. Despite being made entirely of fossil bone, it moves with biological precision. Tendons and ligaments made of impossible calcified filaments stretch and contract like living tissue. The choir communicates through layered, overlapping whispers, each skull speaking in an extinct tongue. When multiple skulls harmonize, it induces vivid, full-sensory hallucinations of prehistoric ecosystems, often terrifying and predatory. Unlike illusionists, the choir's visions bypass normal sensory pathways and directly interface with the occipital, parietal, and limbic regions, making them indistinguishable from reality. 2. Background. Origin: unknown. First observed: Badlands Dig Site, Montana. Age of fossils: 65 million, 400 million years old. Discovery event: the Paleocline Incident. During a routine dig, paleontology students unearthed an anomalous fossil cluster. When touched, the bones spontaneously assembled into a towering multi-skull construct. The entity killed 3 instantly via psionic overload. Victims suffered full hallucinations of predation by massive creatures, dying of shock despite no physical wounds. The choir attempted to rebuild itself, scavenging other fossils nearby. When no more remained, it hunted living animals, not to kill, but to learn their anatomy. It built temporary forms with scavenged bones, constantly reorganizing itself. After a 9-day containment operation, it was captured when researchers triggered a controlled cave-in, burying the entity long enough to deploy a cryogenic paleobiological vault. 3. Physical description. Height: variable, typically 8 feet minus 10 inches. Body: a constantly reshifting amalgam of fossilized bones. Primary skull cluster: Tyrannosaurid skull fragment. Triceratops cranial ridge. Saber-toothed cat maxilla. Ancient marine reptile skull with barbed teeth. 2 skulls of unknown extinct species. 1 skull resembling a humanoid ancestor but distorted. Motion characteristics: bones rearrange mid-movement like a Rubik's Cube. Steps produce low bone-on-bone grinding. Can collapse into a scatter of bones, then reassemble. Moves silently when hunting, predatory instinct. Aura: the air around it vibrates with low whispers. Temperature drops by 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Hallucinations begin within 6 feet. 4. Abilities. 1. Paleo hallucination field. Induces full body, immersive visions of prehistoric landscapes. Victims report: running from massive predators. Suffocation in ancient oceans. Being hunted in primeval forests. Hearing extinct animals around them. Pressure changes matching ancient Earth atmospheres. Long exposure causes: heart failure, mental collapse, identity disorientation, false memories of lives in ancient eras. 2. Fossil reconstruction. Rebuilds itself from any fossil material. Bones float like magnetized metal. Entity rearranges form to match threat. Can build temporary limbs, tails, or armor plates. Cannot use modern bones, only prehistoric. 3. Multivocal linguistics. Each skull speaks a different extinct language. When all speak together, the harmonics. Destroy short-term memory. Cause motor paralysis. Overload fear responses. Induce hallucinated predation. 4. Paleokinetic movement. Can disassemble into thousands of bone fragments and reassemble elsewhere. V. Psychological profile. Type: INTJ. Not human. Operates on predator logic. Cold, analytical, calculating. Exhibits purposeful hunting behavior. Seems to study humans as prey. Shows fascination with human skulls. Attempts to mimic ancient behavioral patterns. The choir has attempted to reorganize itself into the shape of what resembles the last prehistoric apex predator, implying a long-term goal, becoming the final living dinosaur, recreated from memory and instinct. 6. Containment protocols. Vault FC-6. Paleobiological maximum security. Cryogenic negative temperature vault. -40 degrees Celsius. Fossil-free perimeter for 2 miles. No rock, stone, or mineral materials allowed. Entire vault constructed from polymer and treated alloys. White noise generators to disrupt harmonic whispers. Visual dampeners to block hallucination cycles. Robotic maintenance only. No human entry. Emergency protocol. If choir breaches containment. Flood vault with cryomist. Trigger floor collapse into subvault. Deploy polymer nets that fossil material cannot merge with. Evacuate all biological personnel. 7. Capture scenario. Captured after 9 days of continuous pursuit across the Badlands. Entity was slowed by collapsing a fossil canyon onto it, then immobilized with cryogenic foam and polymer restraints. During capture, 21 personnel experienced prehistoric hallucinations, believing they were being hunted by enormous predators. 4 attempted to flee into the desert and died of exposure. 8. Daily behavior. Rearranges bones into new shapes when bored. Emits low whispering harmonics during motion. Stares at guards through reinforced viewing screens. Containment logs show entity. Rehearses predation tactics. Occasionally attempts to mimic human posture. Seems to wait for something unknown. Dossier 070. Grief Weaver. The trauma parasite / emotion harvesting illusionist. Designation: DM GW10. Classification: psychic trauma entity / human origin psionic mutant. Threat level: extreme. Personality type: INFJT, the empathic manipulator. Status: contained. Level 5 psychotropic isolation wing. Overview. Grief Weaver is a human woman transformed by a rare psionic neurological mutation that allows her to perceive, manipulate, and weaponize human trauma. She does not kill with force, she kills by unraveling minds. Her presence causes resurfacing of buried memories, hallucinations of past abusers, self-destructive urges, emotional regression, identity fragmentation. Grief Weaver speaks softly in a calm, almost therapeutic tone. She builds rapport in minutes. Once she understands a person's greatest emotional wound, she recreates it in flawless sensory detail. Sight, sound, touch, and emotion. Victims often willingly follow her instructions, collapse psychologically, or die by suicide under overwhelming trauma illusions. 2. Background. Real name: Seraphine Vale. Age: 31. Origin: former trauma counselor / psychotherapy researcher. Seraphine originally specialized in guiding patients through PTSD and memory repression. Her rare neurological condition, hyperempathic sensory perception, let her feel bits of others' emotions. After a near-fatal lab accident involving experimental neural resonance equipment, her abilities amplified uncontrollably. Instead of sensing trauma, she began triggering it. She accidentally caused a mass breakdown at her clinic. 5 patients died by suicide, others became feral with panic. Seraphine fled, horrified by what she had become, but her condition escalated. Within weeks, she could mentally peel apart minds like threads. She became known as Grief Weaver after forcing an entire SWAT team to relive their worst losses simultaneously. 7 shot themselves. 3. Physical description. Height: 5 feet 6 inches. Build: thin, ethereal, almost fragile. Skin: pale with faint blue veins near temples, psychic strain scars. Eyes, soft silver gray. Pupils dilate when she senses trauma. Hair, long, black, slightly tangled. Voice, gentle, soothing, therapist-like. Aura. People near her feel a sinking emotional heaviness. Behavioral presence. Moves slowly, deliberately. Maintains eye contact too long. Smiles sympathetically before attacking mentally. Speaks in metaphors about pain, memory, or childhood. 4. Abilities. 1. Trauma resonance reading. She senses a person's deepest wound instantly. Childhood abuse, grief and loss, betrayal, guilt, abandonment. The more painful the memory, the more power she gains. 2. Trauma projection, primary attack. Creates hyperreal, full sensory illusions of the victim's worst memory. Victims. Hear the original voices. Smell the environment. Feel the emotions exactly as they did originally. Lose track of time, identity, and surroundings. This often triggers collapse, catatonia, hysterics, suicide, self-harm, violence toward others, total mental break. 3. Identity unraveling. When grief weaver pushes deeper, she can separate a victim's ego, self-image, emotional memory, fear responses, leaving a hollow, obedient shell. 4. Empathic puppeteering. If she fully breaks someone, she can implant false memories, create emotional addictions to her, command them through fear-linked conditioning, suppress their will entirely. Victims call her mother, savior, or the voice. V. Psychological profile. Type: INFJ. Highly empathetic but corrupted. Understands emotions better than anyone. Can predict decisions before victims make them. Views trauma as the purest truth. Believes she is setting people free by exposing their pain. Calm, soft, nurturing, weaponized empathy. Can cry on command, often manipulative. Expresses remorse but continues harm. To her, trauma isn't a wound, it is a canvas. 6. Containment procedures. Cell GW5. Psychotropic isolation chamber. 360 degrees mirrored walls to distort eye contact focus. Soundproofing plus white noise. Lights remain dim to reduce emotional stimulus. Guards must wear memory block filters. Experimental. No direct conversation longer than 30 seconds. No one with unresolved trauma is allowed near her. Emergency protocol. Activate neural pulse dampeners. Cut all audio channels. Deploy tranquilizer nanomist. Seal chamber with secondary shutter. If she breaches, staff must use emotional suppressant gas. 7. Capture scenario. Captured after a 17-hour negotiation attempt in an abandoned hospital. Psych team believed they could reason with her. They were wrong. She shattered their mental defenses one by one, forcing them to relive their worst failures until they broke down sobbing or fled. The containment team finally subdued her when she tried to comfort a wounded officer and made direct eye contact. They deployed a blindfolded strike team with tranquilizer fog and memory filters. Seraphine surrendered after losing consciousness, whispering, "Everyone breaks. I just show them where the cracks are." 8. Daily behavior and observations. Sits cross-legged, humming softly. Sketches abstract shapes symbolizing emotions. Occasionally cries without tears. Talks to imaginary, inner children. Attempts to lure guards by asking about their families. Has broken 14 guards psychologically. Claims she can hear trauma through walls. She is considered one of the most psychologically dangerous anomalies in existence. Dossier 071. Veil Runner. The Shadow Stalker / Temporal Predator. Designation: DM-VR11. Classification: Parahuman / Shadow Phase Predator. Threat level, extreme. Personality type, INTJT, strategic shadow analyst. Status, contained. Level 5 shadow dampened isolation. Overview. Veil Runner is a humanoid entity capable of phasing partially into shadow dimensions. Its body appears humanoid but is enveloped in writhing darkness that stretches, flows, and distorts around it. Veil Runner is predatory, observing and manipulating environments before engaging, and is highly intelligent, demonstrating long-term planning. Key traits: elusive, almost never fully visible. Prefers indirect methods of interference. Uses stealth and psychological manipulation to control prey or personnel. 2. Background. Real name, unknown. Gender, male. Age, estimated 35. Biological. Origin, first sighted in a series of missing person cases across abandoned city districts. Witnesses described moving shadows behaving independently, and figures stepping out of darkness. Veil Runner was studied via urban surveillance until Task Force Sigma coordinated a full containment effort. Historical records suggest Veil Runner's existence predates modern documentation, possibly tied to shadow-affecting rituals in forgotten occult practices. 3. Physical description. Height, 6 feet 0 inches. Build, lithe, sinewy. Skin, dark gray with shadowy translucence, appearing liquid in low light. Eyes, black, reflective, sometimes glimmering red in low light conditions. Hair, absent or fully absorbed into shadows. Movement, slips across terrain as if partially intangible. Shadows stretch ahead to manipulate perception. Appears to vanish when observed directly. Notable behavior. Often hovers at edges of darkness, observing. Uses shadow appendages to touch or move objects silently. Exhibits predatory patience. Rarely attacks without calculated reason. 4. Abilities. Shadow phase. Can slip partially into adjacent shadow dimensions, rendering physical attacks ineffective. Predatory camouflage. Appears invisible in low light or shadowed environments. Psychological manipulation. Can project fleeting glimpses of shadow forms resembling loved ones or enemies to create fear or obedience. Shadow resonance. Nearby shadows behave in sync with Veil Runner, causing disorientation. Extended limb projection. Shadow appendages can stretch to manipulate objects, grab, or block movement. V. Psychological profile. Cold, calculating, highly strategic. Exhibits predatory instincts and careful observation. Avoids unnecessary confrontation. Extremely curious about new environments and devices. Prefers to learn patterns of prey or personnel before acting. 6. Containment procedures. Cell VR, 5. Shadow dampened isolation. Fully light-controlled chamber. Low-intensity artificial lighting only. Infrared cameras for observation. No reflective surfaces. Automated feeding via robotic delivery. Personnel rotate frequently. Human presence limited. Security drones stationed to alert staff if shadow appendages breach containment. Emergency protocol. Activate shadow dampening floodlights. Deploy immobilizing net with high-frequency vibrational feedback. Evacuate personnel from immediate vicinity. 7. Capture scenario. Veil Runner was captured after a month-long pursuit. During containment operations, multiple squads reported colliding with unseen objects. Personnel experienced spatial disorientation, falling, or temporary paralysis. Capture employed layered light traps, thermal nets, and audio disruptors. Immobilized with hypothermic gas and transferred under total darkness. 8. Daily behavior and observation. Rests in corners, blending with shadows. Frequently manipulates objects using shadow appendages. Observes guards and cameras, occasionally creating small illusions. Avoids direct confrontation unless provoked. Shows heightened curiosity when new equipment is introduced. These 4 subjects and unique individuals represent only a fraction of what resides within Dark Mind Asylum. Each mind is a story. Each story is a warning, Each gift is a curse. Our observation continues. Our containment is absolute, and the unknown, ever present. These patients inhabit a world between fear and understanding, a delicate balance maintained by our observation and control. Here at Dark Mind Asylum, the extraordinary becomes documented, the dangerous becomes contained, and the mind, both human and beyond, remains under scrutiny. As new file episodes continue, you will witness the evolution of this reality, the layers of their ability, and the everlasting of continuity. Join us next time as we delve further into the darkness. All cryptids and patients captured by Dark Mind Asylum Cryptids Special Teams. Biological Anomalies Division. Special Cryptid Retrieval Task Force, Black Lantern Division.